Hey, hello, friends. So, one of my most memorable trip in the past was to Kashmir. So, sometimes people think that why I don't travel in India because actually I've seen so much in India already because my father was in the border security force. So that's why I've seen a lot of India than most of the people. And my best vacation was in Kashmir. So, I traveled to Kashmir and then, we went to Gulmarg. And when we went to Gulmarg, it was like in June. And in June, it was uh, the upper mountains. There was snow on the upper mountains. And we took a gondola. And once we took a gondola, and then, we could, we went to the top of the hill and there was snow there. And we actually found bear prints on the snow, so it was quite exciting. And then we came back, and once we came back, when we came back again, my father was again posted to high altitude regions like Gurez and Niru. So out there, the border security force is posted in the front, and the army is in the behind the border security force. So I was first we went to Bandipur. It's like that, you go from here to Srinagar, then Srinagar, there's a convoy to Bandipur. You have to take a rest in Srinagar for maybe 1 day, 2 day. At that point of time, when I was like in my 10th standard, and that was like very, very nice. So you go there to Srinagar and then you take a convoy to Bandipura. And once you take a convoy to Bandipura, then you take a convoy to Gurez. And once you're in the convoy, actually there's a pass called the Kanzalwan Pass. And that pass is basically very high. So on that particular day when we were traveling on that convoy, it was like it was my birthday on the 12th of June. So, you know, what happened was like that the army people don't allow you to go to the forward areas. And because my father was then the commandant, so, he just had to pull a few strings and, ask the army to let us proceed. And on that particular day, it was snowing on the 12th of June. And in summers, in Delhi, the temperature is like 44 degrees Celsius, 45 degrees Celsius. It's good, quite a country to see the kind of variations we have in very, not a very broad geographical area. So it was like that, and it was snowing. And once we were coming down from the Kanzavan Pass, again we had a blockade. And the captain over there, and my mother was also there, my sisters were also there. The captain, the mother told the captain it's his birthday today. So I remember that captain very well. He had nothing actually over there because everything was canned. So we got canned pineapples, and he celebrated my birthday with canned pineapples. And once we went down, there was like a stream flowing because in the afternoons, the ice melts, and once the ice melts, the water picks up pace in the evening around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So we were traveling in a jeep, and the jeep got stuck, and the stream was picking up. When the stream was picking up, so the Jawani, took me off. Other use thinking the Jawans were thinking whether if the jeep, you know, gets washed away in this stream, so what is going to happen? We've got the commandant's wife and son and daughters, so they took us out, and he actually put me on his back and took me out of that stream. And never underestimate the streams. You stand there for like 1 minute and you'll get frostbite, or if you stand there in summers for 1 minute, you'll get your legs all blue. So that's one thing. The other thing is air. You can't run over there because you get breathless very fast. It's very difficult to fight over there. Maybe even in Ladakh, it's very difficult to fight because it's not the fighting skill, it's the survival skill that counts over there. If you survived, you'll automatically kill the enemy. you don't need to you don't need to kill the enemy with the hands. If you survive, they'll automatically die. So it's upper reaches. It's all about survival, not about fighting. Even if your presence is there, the enemy won't be able to run up to you and attack like they show in the films. It's not like that. So that's what it is. And you don't even feel hungry out there. And so actually we had a, not I said, not a very narrow, I would say, but yes, of course you had to get out of that river. And then we reached Gurez, and Gurez, it's like all landscape and everything and stuff like that. you know it's very nice. We've got like Habba Khatun. There's a very big mountain, it's called Habba Khatun. And in Gurez you've got mushrooms that you won't even find in Delhi. Very nice mushrooms, very protein. They've got very high protein rich mushrooms. Then you've got Neeru ki matar. It's got peas. When you have to cook them like rajma, and you won't find that kind of food out here in Delhi. And also the medicinal plant that is used to make Benadryl, they grow over there. It's just because of terrorism that all this shit has happened. Otherwise, it's a very, very beautiful place. And I did really enjoy it. I won't say I didn't enjoy it. And there was another time that I had visited, because I had visited Kashmir 2 3 times because my father was posted here. I think around 5 years or 6 years he was posted there. So the other time I visited, he was posted in uh, the university campus in Kashmir. So at that point of time also, it was like Hazrat Bal. That's what the university campus is. And these people, they took me to Dal Lake. And Dal Lake, they had the speedboat, and they put me in a speedboat, and they were like, the Jawans was like, okay, let's go to like in the middle of the Dal Lake, they have got a post. So they put me in that boat, and they took me to that post in the middle of the Dal Lake. It's got nothing. It's just got it's just got a small land in the middle of the lake, and they're just sitting over there with their guns. And it's like that. And we also had an encounter with the militants, and because I was there all alone, because my board exam had finished. And what happened was, like, there was a brand new gypsy that was coming, because my board exam had finished and the results come a little bit late. So at that point of time, uh, I think my sister's exams were a little bit late or something. There was something, I don't remember it clearly because it was a long time ago. But I remember that it was only I, that the brand new gypsy had come. And because the brand new gypsy had come, my father said, get into that gypsy. And that gypsy, I went from Chawla camp, because that's where we were living at that point of time, all the way from Delhi to Chandigarh, through Punjab, and then to Jammu. And from Jammu, we went in a convoy to Kashmir, and from to Srinagar. Okay, so it was quite a trip that I've traveled right from Delhi to Srinagar by road. And this is when I was in my 10th standard. So there was actually an encounter, and in that encounter, what happened was that one of the inspectors, the militants, lobbed a grenade, and he asked them, everybody, to duck, because he was inexperienced and he got injured by the sharpener. So he was rushed back, and it was like 2 o'clock, and there was like chatter going on and going off. So my father, he asked all his guards and everybody to get ready, that he's going to pay a visit to where the firing was happening and what was happening. So it was like, my father dressed up, he put on his bulletproof jacket, and at 1 o'clock, you go down as you look at like what's happening, and one guy has come in the guards. My father had guards like 10, 12 guards, and the commandant's guards, and all five of them were like all armed to the teeth, all were carrying AK-47s, and all were carrying all bullets and everything. And my father went into the bulletproof gypsy and he went away. So I was awake all night because I couldn't sleep, because the enemy is the enemy. And in the morning there was good news that they had killed actually three militants, and we had no casualty. So they came in the morning. All of them came in the morning. And all because the JK police takes the bodies, so they were showing me all the ammunition that they have captured, and they were showing the jacket as well that we shot him. And they said that that the guy, that he was like actually he jumped from a window. The militant jumped from a window, and I had this guy. He was carrying the light machine gun. So once he jumped from the building, he just tore him in two. And he didn't stop firing. He was like he pumped up all the magazine into him. 15, 20, 20, 25, 30 bullets all into him. So it's like that. So the border security force is much more adept in fighting because they've got nasty experiences with militants and with insurgency in Punjab and everywhere. So it's like that. So in the morning they showed me, that this is the booty we've captured. This is the machine gun we've captured. This is, then naturally people like to boast once they've done a good operation. It was like that. And I had got. In the meantime, what happened was the Kargil happened, and once Kargil happened, so there was a huge problem in Srinagar because they were getting inputs that that they're gonna send people into Kashmir, into Srinagar, and this and that. Don't worry, Pakistani propaganda was there. So my mother got worried. This chap is sitting with his father, but if anything happens in Kashmir, and he's right there in Srinagar, and if the Pakistani attacks, although it was too far fetched, they wouldn't have been able to get through all so many Indian people with so much ammunition and so much army and everything. But it was difficult. It was a very difficult period during that period of time because it was like all the civilian aircrafts were stopped from reaching Srinagar airport, and I was just in Srinagar. And I was in my 10th standard. And I just completed my 10th exams, and my mother came uh, just to be with me. So because border security force has its own planes, Avro. So she came on that plane, but it was like when we went to that airport of Indian Air Force, it was like there was like one squadron that was bombing them, one squadron was landing, and the one squadron was bombing them, and one squadron was going and one squadron was coming. So actually, the plane had to wait for 15 minutes because one squadron was going, one squadron was coming, and they really bombed the fuck out of Pakistan. I can tell you that, And the same thing even today I'm saying, like Chinese, they're underestimating everything. If war happens and you unleash the army and the border security force and the ITBP and everything, you get into boom, boom, fuck with India. You know, from my experience, I can tell you they're not afraid to die. They follow orders, they're well trained, they're well equipped, they're very well motivated. You'd get into a big bullshit if you fight with the Indians. That much I can tell you. Whatever the 1962 war was, you're just dumbass if you think that you can mess with India. We've got a lot of experience fighting a lot of things. It's like that. So I hope you like my video, and like the people say, subscribe to my videos, and you'll hear very, very good things and my adventures as well.